Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show. Another interesting, I suppose, last few days, Sean, in the League of Ireland. And before we get into basically the fixtures and that kind of thing, it's incredible, isn't it? There's 3 games to go, and I'm staring at the league table as we speak. 6 teams mathematically can win this league. I mean, that's just
Mm,
incredible, isn't it?
absolutely. And with the exception of Sligo, I'd say all of those teams have actually a realistic shot at winning the league as well. So, I suppose we look at it and we say because the teams at the top are really like tripping over themselves at the finish line, we say maybe it's not very good. But to have this many teams in contention compared to the last 4 seasons, this has been a great season to watch from a neutral perspective. It's been very, very exciting, very unpredictable. So, it's absolutely incredible.
Even like the top two there, SHELS and Derry. We'll talk about Derry in a minute, obviously, with their 2 games. But SHELS won 1 game in 10. Derry have actually won 1 game in 9. And there's a few interesting statistics going around about Derry as well. They haven't scored in the first half since June when they played Drogheda United. And 25 of their 33 games in the league, they haven't scored in the first
Mm.
half. That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw those statistics floating around last night, all right, and they're quite incredible. I mean, you're talking about one win in the league in the last 4 months for Derry, which is really astonishing for the team that's second place in the league and in the FAI Cup final.
Yeah, yeah. It's not as if we talked about how Shamrock Rovers obviously are 2 points behind Shelburne and level with Derry now. We often talked about that Shamrock Rovers would have to go on a great run.
Mm.
They haven't gone on a great run, if you know what I mean. Like they've done okay, but they
Mm.
haven't won 7 or 8 games in the bounce to get back in this race. Like that's the funny thing.
Yeah, no, they've stumbled a bit, and I said, after the results, maybe against Galway at home where they dropped points, or
Then drop it at home.
Bohs, you draw it at home, Bows away. They dropped points in those games, and I thought, that was that because I thought like everyone else, they'd have to go on a really incredible run, as you said, to get back in the race. So they've been good, obviously. I mean, look, they've been
But the
a
other
much
two
better
have
team.
really let them in it, haven't they? Let's be
It,
honest.
it, it really is the case. It's Derry and Shelburne fumbling the league away rather than Rovers really, really fighting tooth and nail to get back in.
100%. Talk about fumbling, really, and you'd have to look at Derry City, obviously, their last 2 games. They went into the
Mm,
weekend with 2 games in hand, knowing if they could get four. They're probably looking at going, if they can get 4 points or 6 points, to be in a really good position. They've come out of that
mm,
with 2 points, 2 home games as well. They've the best home record in the
mm,
league. The Bohs one, they went behind again as well in that game, and really Bohs were better side in the first half. They did manage to get an equaliser and probably should have won in the end. McMullen missed a great chance, etc., etc.
mm,
Then last night against Sligo Rovers, they were probably fortunate to get a point. Being honest, Sligo's goal, or sorry, Derry's goal was a mix-up between Hutchison and Ed McGinty. To be fair, after Malley had
mm.
given Sligo a lead with a brilliant goal, and in that game, Sligo had chances, Ellis Chapman, etc. We'll talk about them in a minute, Sligo, but from a Derry perspective overall, the 2 points, okay, they're only 2 points behind Shelburne, but I think it's very disappointing from their point of view, going for a title, to have 2 home games back to back and only come away with the 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, and the nature of both of them as well that they ended up chasing the game in both games. Um, I don't know which one was more frustrating, but to talk about the Sligo Rovers game, I mean, it was to be fair, a very good goal from Conor Malley, but
Brilliant goal,
they
yeah.
looked they particularly last night they looked much the second best team. Even when Sligo went down to 10 men, it looked like Sligo were always more likely to score. Derry looked a little bit nervous and disorganized. Uh, the crowd then did turn on them, and normally I wouldn't like a crowd turn on the home team like that, but it's ridiculous at this stage the amount of chances that Derry have been offered and just failing to execute every single time.
Mm.
You can talk about relying on and I don't know what the tactics are for Derry. They seem a little bit aimless. It's like 11 players out there don't know what to do. They're going to get the ball out to Michael Duffy and see if he can do something with it. That seems to be the plan. And I'm just it's even from a neutral perspective, it's so frustrating watching
Do you
this.
think, though, okay, look, they could end up winning the league. We've said this
Yeah,
before. But do you
Mm.
think Higgins is getting the best out of that squad at the minute, to be honest?
No, no. They've got so many great players in that squad. I mean, look at what those players like. You've got a perfect example is look at what Stephen Kenny was able to achieve with a lot of those players at Dundalk, and winning the league nearly every single season, and
Yeah, they
getting
have
to the Europa
experienced
League.
players, like, don't they? Who've done it
Yeah,
before.
I mean, these are the players like Pat Hooban and Michael Duffy, McElhenney, Daniel Kelly, and you've got players then, and then you've bolstered the ranks then in the summer with the likes of Andre Wisdom coming in. You've got Brian Maher, arguably, with the exception of the fellow who's playing opposite him tonight, maybe the best goalkeeper in the league. You've got so many great players all over the field there, and I don't
Adam
think he
O'Reilly,
can.
Will Patchin.
Yeah, exactly. You've
Yes,
got
yeah,
all over the pitch.
yeah.
So yeah, terrible. Not getting the best out of that squad. I don't think.
It is funny though because it is funny because it's bizarre. They could still end up winning the league even though they've been disappointing. But like from a
Mm,
Sligo perspective, they'll actually be disappointed they didn't get all 3 points. All 3 points would have had them
mm,
level with Pats and Galway in an even better
mm.
position going into the game at the weekend. But they're still there in the European race. There's no doubt about that. And I think I don't know what you talk about this, but I thought Luke Pearce was a little unlucky to pick up that second yellow. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah, I think so. I understand he's got his studs up, but
Hmm.
the ball is there in the 6 yard box. He's entitled to go for it. I don't think there's anything untoward
Hmm.
in that. I think it's a very harsh second yellow, and you know, who knows? Maybe Sligo would have won the game if they had 11 players on the pitch. So
Hmm.
yeah, and another one to add to the blacklist for Sligo Rovers fans of decisions that have gone against them this year.
Absolutely, yeah. They played good football. Like Ellis Chapman had a great
Mm.
chance, didn't he? An absolutely
Oh, he did,
fantastic
yeah.
chance where he should have scored in that second half.
If he gets any kind of contact on it, I think it goes in.
I
Mm.
think he takes his eye off it slightly, does he? Does he?
Yeah, or maybe he's trying not to overhit it or something. I don't know. It looks like he's actually looking down at it.
Mm.
To be honest.
He's trying to be too delicate, I think. Actually, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Trying to be too delicate with
Mm.
the contact, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
but ultimately, as you say, like the funny thing is, Derry fans be disappointed, but they could have easily lost that match as well. So,
Yeah.
you have that as well, and you never know. Maybe that point will be good come the end of the season for them. Who knows? But at the moment, you're right.
Yeah.
They're not playing well. 1 win and 9. I put out the stats there earlier on, etc. And for the squad they have, they could blow a great opportunity for them here to win the league. But Sligo Rovers, as I said, very much in contention for Europe, and they've a last without getting too far ahead. Their last game of the season is actually at the showgrounds against Pats. And you'd wonder if there'd be something on the
Mm.
line for both clubs in that game. So that could be an interesting one there. But
Mm.
on to Dalymount Park, where it finished Bohemians 1, St. Patrick's like 3. First of all, from a Bowls point of view, they obviously played Derry on the Friday and played quite well in the first half, got a
Mm.
decent point. And we'll talk about Drogheda and Waterford soon as well. But over the course of the two games, they got 1 point, Bowls, but they didn't lose ground on Drogheda. They didn't gain ground, but they didn't lose ground.
Mm.
So they're still 4 points ahead of Drogheda. Okay, you could say it's a bit delicate, but they're still in the better position, let's say. Now, the performance on, as I said, was decent on Friday, got a good point. Performance against Pats, I thought, honestly, in the first half, Bows were very, very good. Very good. But they failed to take their chances. They got a penalty, which I think was the right decision, personally, looking back. Scheuberg just doesn't see Rooney. Rooney cuts across, so I think he does foul them, and it's a penalty for Bowes. Devoy for them, unfortunately, misses the penalty. Comes out, Clark strikes it, Breslin heroically clears it off the line. Gravossi cleared another one off the line from Tierney, and Bowes had a lot of opportunities in general
Mm.
in that first half. Pats were poor, probably the poorest they played in a while. And at any time they got the ball, they seemed to be unsure what to do, which was strange. But I don't know, maybe the fact that Pats hadn't played in a couple of weeks played into that a little bit.
Mm.
Onto the second half, and I felt at half time that Pats would probably play better in the second half, and I wondered if Bowles would rue their opportunities. Pats looked like they were starting stronger, and then Tierney gets a second yellow and gets sent off. For me, it's a second yellow. I don't think you can have
Mm.
too many complaints about. The first yellow was a yellow as well, so it was probably a bit silly knowing he was on a yellow, but I don't think
Mm.
they can have too many complaints about that. And then after that, just Pats took over simply, and Bowes struggled. They didn't know what to do really with the 10 men. Keane was credited with the first goal after Forrester had a shot that came off Keane and went in, but you felt the goal was coming Mulroney scores the 76, Redmond an 81, Keenan Levy great chances. The Voice scores a cracking goal with a minute to go for BOHS. Um, but there was a few BOHS fans booing. I suppose that's a combination of things where they are in the league. But in actual fact, overall, the performance wasn't too bad, and the sending off and probably a rocket from Kenny at half time, to be honest with you, killed BOHS in this game. But as I said, like with BOHS, I mentioned how they still have that same gap over Drogheda now. But it's remarkable to think that I still think it's highly unlikely Pats pass out three teams, even if they win their three games. But still remarkable to think 3 games to go, the Pats are 4 points off Shelburne at the top of the league.
Yeah, 100%. To be honest with you, I think they're probably playing the best of any team in the league right now.
Yeah, overall, yeah.
Performance. Rovers have a slightly better position and are maybe just slightly worse than Pats, but like that's about the size of it.
You'd argue Rovers
Yeah.
have better fixtures as well of the four, potentially.
Yeah, probably they're finishing the season. I mean, you'd probably want to have Rovers finish to the season over Pats. But yeah, I thought to be fair to Bose, yeah, it, the mood around the club is so negative now that it's hard to see the positive things. But it wasn't a bad weekend for them.
No.
They haven't lost ground. They picked up a valuable point away to Derry. Now the script is that it's 4 points to go, but there's 3 games left. That's a really good position to be in.
Bear in mind, Drogheda, we'll talk about Drogheda in a minute, but they do have to play SHAMROCK, Rovers and Shelburne.
Yeah. So it's very unlikely. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out completely because Drogheda have that togetherness in the squad now, and they seem to they do have Rovers' number in recent years. So that could end up being a win for Drogheda. And Shelburne, again, I mean, they haven't played this weekend, but like we've talked about Shelburne, we could say much of the same things about Derry that we said against Shelburne, that they're showing a little bit that they're nervous, they're not holding their nerve very well. So that could be that Drogheda could win that, but I still think it's a very good position for both to be in. If they do fall into the playoff from this position, it would be a real disaster.
Yeah, as you say, it's a very good position they're in. Like fans will say, it's technically not. It's a disappointing season, but we have to talk in context of where they are in the table, and the main thing for them is this point of the season clearly is just to finish ahead of Drogheda and somehow try to improve next season. That's the main thing here, isn't it? In regards to BOHS, to be fair.
Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously it's been an awful season, but if you can stay up, if you can avoid the playoff, because I really would worry about this BOHS team heading into a playoff. You can say, look, go again. They've got they re-signed Chiraska and James Clark to another year, so it looks like they're planning with the intention of staying up, which I think is probably right at this stage. But you can say that okay, these last few games we've seen a little bit of stability. We can forget about this season. We can move on. It's all about picking up the results now. It's all about picking up the results.
Yeah, speaking of which, obviously you were at this game, the RSC finished Waterford 0 and Drogheda 0 on Friday, and from a Drogheda point of view and context, we were talking about BOHS there. In isolation, it's not a bad point, but you just feel that Drogheda probably, this is what I think now, it could be wrong. They might go on and win a couple of games and finish out of BOHS, but if they'd won in Waterford, it would have been very interesting because it would have put them 2 points behind BOHS, and now we're really getting a bit down to the nitty gritty, if you like. But overall, you were at the game, so you can talk about it more, but the wheels have come off a little bit of Waterford now, haven't they? And it seems to be petering out for them a bit, and this wasn't a great game, was it, Sean? And a draw was probably a fair result.
Yeah, it was a fair result. I think, to be fair, we if you had to pick a winner, we were slightly the better team. I thought we had more of the chances, but it was a very poor game of football. I think, to be fair to Drogheda, they might have had a bit of a hangover from the cup semi-final. They looked a bit complacent, that they weren't giving it 110%. I don't think out there on the field. So that could be interesting.
Mm.
I think it would be foolish at this stage for Doherty to throw in the towel with regards to like actually staying in eighth.
Mm.
But I would wonder now, based on that performance, if that's what's happening. Are they minding the players? It'll be very interesting because if they do finish in the playoff, they're going to have to play that on like a Thursday, and then on play the cup final on a Sunday. So you're going to have two games in 1 week. Maybe that's factoring in.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I would wonder. I think if Drogheda had have gone for it, they'd have had a really good chance of winning that game because I don't think we were great.
Mm.
We weren't bad. Like there's been some poor performances from Waterford in recent weeks, but I don't think we were bad. We created a lot of chances. We showed initiative. Um, Keith Long in his post match interview, more or less said like, look, we're not gonna be too critical of the performance now at this stage of the season.
Mm.
Just seeing what we have ahead of next season. Um, the season is petering out. I'm a little bit disappointed because I still think there's an outside chance. If we'd have won this game,
Mm.
you can maybe say
Make a
there's an
case.
outside chance of Europe. But look, it is what it is now. We've actually with this game we've officially secured Premier Division status for next year, which you probably would have taken at the start of the season. You probably would have taken a seventh place finish at the start of the season, and so look, that's been done now. We can look forward to next season. But just finally summarize the game, yeah, just a real non-event. Nothing really noteworthy about it.
Yeah, that's the funny thing though that you actually took the words of my mouth there. Is going to say
Mm.
if Waterford fans were told with 3 games to go that they'd be 100% staying in the Premier Division, they would have said grand because we've had it
Yeah,
where teams have come up. We've seen it before, and they've more or less gone straight back down. But it gives you a
mm.
foundation to possibly build on. I mean, Shelburne have built on a foundation, haven't they? Of coming up and
Yeah,
staying up in the last number of years. So I think that's the main thing. It's given them a foundation, and even Galway would have said that as well. To be honest, I know
yeah.
they're in a great position at the moment, but they would have said that at the start of the season too. So it does give Waterford a foundation. It gives Keith Long maybe a bit of do you know what I mean, armory in
Mm.
terms of look, this is where we need to improve, and this is where we need to improve, or whatever ahead of next season as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It does. I think for Galway, maybe would have been a little bit more ambitious because they won the first division by such a wide margin.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
yeah, um, for for us, it really is just like the context of like having done so well in the first half of the season and
Mm,
then to let things fall back. That's really what
mm.
makes it disappointing.
And it's probably
It
because they
looked like
see Galway still in and around there,
mm,
you're kind of thinking we could have been. Yeah, maybe that's it as
yeah,
well.
we really could have been,
Mm,
but unfortunately, look, that's just not what's happened. That we can talk about what could be, what is a different thing.
mm,
But yeah, look, already, I mean, Podge Amond has signed on for another 2 years at least.
mm.
Ryan Burke has signed on for another year.
Mm.
We've got a
Just
number of
quickly
players that
in
want to
Paul
leave.
just before we wrap up, Sean, actually, do
Mm.
you think, I know they've brought in players and that, but you think they need to bring in someone that can lighten the load on him a little bit? I mean, next year he's
Yeah,
older again. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I mean, yeah, to be fair to Podge, he's in incredible shape. He seems to never get tired, but like he's playing every minute of every game, and regardless of who you are, like that's no good.
Mm.
You want. I think the drop off between him and the other strikers is fairly massive. So you want to get somebody in who can lighten the load even a little bit. You don't have to get like a world class striker in or
But
anything like
even an
that. You just need
option
to
to
get
go two up front at times if required. You
somebody
could be
who,
behind in a
yeah,
game, you know?
somebody who's serviceable. Like I mean, talk
Mm.
about Drogheda for instance. Like they have Piero and Taylor, and that's their bread and butter. But they have Foley to bring off the
Mm.
bench. Like who can
Mm.
get you a goal, and that's kind of what we're looking for. I think heading into next season.
Yeah, nah, 100%. That's brilliant, Sean. Thanks very much for coming on as usual, Sean. Fair play to you. Guys at home, let us know what you think in the comments. A very interesting end to the season coming up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Lovely jubbly, Sean. Very good.